Hi, everybody. I'm using the new Facebook Live. I'm a little nervous that it's not actually working. I hope it's working. I just see a little circle spinning around and around. Anyway, welcome to my sixth Facebook Live. I did them all last week, and you can watch them on my website, aprilhenry.com, or on my YouTube channel, which is also called April Henry. My plan is to do them every day this week on weekdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that means running through at least April 3rd. I'm starting to think I will just be doing them forever because it looks like this might last forever. Um, Today's shirt is a beautiful Mirkatsu um, uh, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu rash guard. So I really miss jiu-jitsu. Wearing this rash guard is reminding me of how much I miss it. Um, I don't really have any makeup tips today. I used I think it's some kind of lip balm from Burt's Bees that I believe someone gave to my mother right before she died. And I was keeping it as kind of a memory of my mom, but now I'm not even certain it belonged to her. I also cut my own hair this weekend. I FaceTimed with my stylist and she told me how to cut my bangs. And I paid her. So if you're looking for a way to support your stylist and your bangs are getting too long, that might be a suggestion that you could take up. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 tips for writers in general and my top 10 tips for writers of mysteries. So my general tips, the first one is to read. Read. Every now and then I will meet someone who tells me that they want to be a writer and they don't like to read, and they don't seem to see that there's a disconnect there. The more you read, the more you are absorbing how to write. You can always put something aside if it's not working for you. But first, try and figure out why it's not working for you, because that can be something that you can learn not to apply in your own writing. Um, the first step in writing a book that for me in writing a book is that I will start to read about the topics I need to understand to make the book accurate. My second thing is you do not need to write what you know. I come from a very law-abiding background. Do I know anything about drug dealing, kidnapping, um, making fake ID? No, but I can research all those things. I can read about them. Um, you can, just as long as you get your research right, you can write about things you don't know. You can just, I think you should more write about what interests you. So my third thing would be to make writing a habit. Try and write every day or try and write every weekend day. Phil Margolin, back when he was a full-time lawyer, used to write from 7 to 11 on Saturdays and Sundays while his wife watched the kids. Um, you do not, you shouldn't wait for inspiration. Inspiration is going to find you already working. When I used to work full time as a writer for Kaiser Permanente, if I had said I was going to wait to write a brochure or do ad copy until I felt inspired, I would have been fired. So I've learned that you can write no matter how you feel about it, and you can always edit to make it better. You do not have to outline. You can if you want to, and I do anymore just so I can write faster. But you basically just get your characters in a lot of trouble and start giving them more trouble. And if they start to swim as you're raining this trouble down on them, then throw some sharks after them. You want to see what they do when they're in trouble. Once things are back to normal, I would suggest going to bookstore readings uh, uh, or watching other videos from writers online. The more you see other writers, the more you realize they're not magical unicorns. They're regular people like you and me. And it gives you a sense for how they approach their writing. And it just makes you see that you're part of a writing community. When you go to a bookstore event, you're not expected to buy a book. I mean, it's great if you do buy one, but you don't have to buy one. They just like to see bodies in the chairs. When I'm thinking about writing, another top tip is do not spend a lot of time setting the stage. I just put people right in the middle. Start with something puzzling, mysterious, new, scary. Start with the day everything changed. You don't have to give us 3 chapters of character's regular life. Again, I always think of stealing from myself. Is there something that I already know? Like, if I'm a runner, could I use things about running? Could I use things about jujitsu? Could I use things about baking? Things that I already know. I always think about how can I make how can I make the reader know how the character is feeling? And it's by the way they act. I don't need to tell the reader that a character is happy or angry. Like, write, he was angry. I can just write, he stomped around and slammed doors, and people will figure out that he's angry. And how do you know what a character is feeling? Watch TV with the sound off. You can tell what the characters in these TV shows are feeling by the way they act, by their facial expressions. I've done it and even taken notes about what they do and how they hold their bodies and their facial expressions so that I can use that in a book later. I always say, like I was just saying, you can always improve bad writing, but you can't improve nothing. You can always improve crap. Good writing is equal to rewriting, and you're going to need to rewrite a lot even once you get an agent and a publisher. And then my final tip is that tenacity is as important as talent. Probably 25 years ago, I had a writing class with 2 people named Tom and Jane. They were much, much better writers than I was at that time. Both of them were recommended by our teacher to his agent. I was not recommended to the agent. And both of them got rejected by that agent, got rejected by a few more agents, and they gave up. And I never gave up. And my 25th book is coming out soon. So they could have been me if they had not stopped writing. So I basically believe anybody who has some talent at writing and works hard on it and tries to get better and tries to be professional and think about their writing can get published. And it might take you a long time. That's the part that weeds out people. Some people are not willing to wait. They feel like that they don't even need to write with correct grammar because the editor is there for that. No, the editor is not there for that. You need to make your writing as good as it can be for you to be able to find an agent and then an editor. So I'm going to move on now to my top 10 writing tips for writing mysteries and thrillers. The first is to grab them by the throat with a dramatic beginning. For The Girl I Used to Be, the first sentence is, "The only sound I can hear is my own panicked breathing. I'm running flat out through the forest. Then my toe catches a root and suddenly I'm flying." So those are the first 3 sentences, and who doesn't want to read on and find out what's happening to her? Another way to increase the tension when you're writing a mystery or a thriller is to create a ticking clock. You know, the asteroid's going to hit the Earth. There's a literal bomb. There's some kind of deadline. And after that, the hostage is going to die. An upcoming prom, but no date, something like that, where the reader knows that there is a limited time to solve this problem. I always think, write the slow things fast and the fast things slow. So if something's boring, don't devote very much time to it. Something is extremely scary and tense, devote a lot of pages and words to it. If you watch a horror movie, nobody just walks right over and opens the door to see what's behind it. They think about it. They watch the door handle rattle. They reach their hand out and pull it back. So don't jump right into the action. Write it slow. Another thing is to raise the stakes. You know, your main character was already nervous about singing in class, but now they've been asked to sing the national anthem in front of a local baseball game. Or for a more mystery-related example, not only is somebody going to die if your main character doesn't catch the killer, but that the person who's going to die is their girlfriend. Another thing I do for mysteries, my 5th tip, is to give each of your characters a dirty little secret and see what they do to keep it secret, because they do interesting things when they're trying to hide something. I also think about creating kick-butt chapter endings. Create a chapter ending that looks ahead, that makes you want to turn the page. And maybe if ideally with a cliffhanger, like, you know, they answered the phone or the door and they're shocked at who's on the other side of the door, who's on the other end of the phone, but don't say who it is. Keep it My seventh tip is to keep it snappy, keep it short. Chapters under 2,000 words, under 1,000 words. People who are reading a book at night, maybe that's their only time to read, and they page ahead and think, I'll go to bed when I'm done with this chapter, and then they page ahead, and there are 52 more pages, they're going to bed right then. But if the chapter ends in 2 pages, they're going to keep reading, and then if it ends with a cliffhanger, then they're definitely going to keep reading. It really keeps the pace moving along. Um, uh, there's a young adult book with the title that's unfortunately very close to 50 Shades of Grey, but it's called Between Shades of Grey. And in that book, she did some interesting things with cutting scenes in the middle for a new chapter, which was unusual to me, but it helped keep the pacing up very well. I always think her to main character. You know, your main character was already in trouble, but now they've got an abscessed tooth or a broken arm, a blinding migraine or a bullet wound. How are they going to survive? How are they going to pull it off? You make the character suffer, and the readers love it. For even more dramatic tension, kill somebody off, especially somebody that they like, because readers then will be worried. They'll know that all characters are at risk and that they have to pay attention. I always like dropping a hint. You know, there's that thing about Chekhov that says if you show, if in a play there is a gun above the fireplace that needs to be fired by the third act. So if you show the gun in the drawer, the block full of knives in the kitchen, you're kind of dropping a hint that the resourceful main character is going to use it at some point. And my last tip, number 10, is to have one last twist. Your hero is finally out of danger, all looks great. And, you know, it's kind of a cliche to have the supposedly dead villain come back to life, but sometimes cliches work. Don't let your main character win too easily. The more hopeless it seems, the more readers love it. So those are my top 10 tips for both writers and for mystery writers. Join me tomorrow, Tuesday, when I'll be talking about research, the magic ingredient that makes every book better. And again, Facebook Lives all this week, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you.